There is no doubt in my mind that America is filled with heroes. They just need more media exposure. Too many people are saying that America is on the decline. The visuals, the statistics, the fighting, it's all impossible to ignore.
You must disperse immediately.
I want to fix it, don't you? Let's start by looking at what's positive and promising and successful. I invite you to take an adventure with me. Let's make it our mission to prove the naysayers wrong. Let's explore the country we know exists. Let's meet the world's greatest people. Let's showcase America the Beautiful. There are more than 1 million, that's 1 million, juvenile gang members in the United States of America. And that is 3 times more than law enforcement thought it was. But according to a new report by the Journal of Adolescent Health, this is taking place in America right now. And the majority of those gang members are between 13 and 14 years old. 13 and 14 years old. So this is taking place in our middle schools and then carrying itself into high school. Think about how big 1 million is. We have some states that don't even have that many people in them. Hollywood, the media, they all want you to believe that this is the young black boy or the young Latino boy who doesn't have a father at home. Yes, that is true, but it is only a fraction of who is out there in these gangs. There is no prejudice when it comes to who can get into a gang. White kids, black kids, Latino kids, Asians, of all ages between 5 years old and 18, both boys and girls. We have an epidemic on our hands, but you would never know it because the media never covers it. They'll also make you think that all these kids are coming from poverty, that these are all poor kids, inner city kids. That's not the case at all. According to that same report, most youth gang members are non-poor and white, and 30% of them are female. Young girls, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, 30%. Now, of course, this also parlays itself into the drug epidemic here in the United States. There was a recent study where kids from middle school were asked to tell the truth about their drug and alcohol usage. Middle school, mind you. 1 in 20 middle school teens used alcohol, marijuana, or some type of illicit drug in 2018 during the school day. Most kids say they tried their first drug between the ages of 13 and 15. And the problem with that is that the younger a child starts, the more likely it is that that child will become addicted.
There is a crisis rattling through America. A drug problem the like of which this country has never known. It is relentlessly, mercilessly crossing the states and killing as it goes. We've come to Dayton, Ohio, a town ravaged by fentanyl, an opioid, a man-made form of heroin. Dealers here charge just $2 for a hit, but thousands of users in this small corner of the country alone have paid with their lives in the past few months.
This is our main cooler in the office.
In the Montgomery County mortuary, the bodies are piled high. 2/3 of these deaths have been caused by fentanyl in just a couple of days. The staff here are struggling to cope, and they know it's going to get worse.
And we're going to reach almost 2,000 overdoses. By population, that's about 1/5 of the state of Ohio that we cover. So if you extrapolate that, there's going to be over 10,000 overdoses this year.
In Ohio alone?
In Ohio alone.
That's 3 times 9/11.
Correct. It's a mass fatality event.
Each year, it progressively gets worse. Teen drug overdoses scaled up 19% between 2014 and 2015. And we saw in 2017 that the amount of overdoses in the United States as a whole, not just teens, hit an unbelievable number in terms of the amount of deaths from those overdoses. We scaled past 70,000 people. That is unbelievably neck-breaking in terms of a number. That means that people are dying every couple of minutes from a drug overdose.
Ian is hopelessly addicted to fentanyl. An intelligent man with a troubled past. He's been abusing drugs since childhood, but nothing has hooked him like this.
There's no stopping it. It's once it has you, 3 days is what it takes. If you do it 3 days in a row, it's forever.
As we talked, he produced a capsule from his pocket.
Is that it there? So that's your next hit?
He's seen this drug kill his friends. It almost killed his wife. He knows this capsule could be the one that takes his life.
I want to go back to the statistics. And in doing so, I want you to imagine having 5 drinks. As an adult, having 5 drinks. Now take yourself and be a teenager and put into your body in a row 5 alcoholic beverages in a row. No doubt, you are going to get drunk. 13%, that is 13% of high school students admitted to drinking 5 drinks in a row. 14% of girls admitted to having 4 drinks in a row at some point in the 30 days prior to the survey being conducted. And that this is a thing that they do over and over and over again. 7% of boys admitted to drinking and driving. 4% of girls admitted the same. 16% of boys admitted that they rode in a car with somebody who was drinking and driving. And as for the girls, it goes up to 17% admits that they were a passenger in a car with a person who was drinking and driving, one of their friends. 35% of boys in high school admit to using marijuana. 36% of girls. The girls are almost higher in every category. 6% of boys use cocaine in high school. 3% of girls. Gangs, drugs, alcohol leads to juvenile detention. In 2018, on any given day, there are 60,000 kids under 18 incarcerated in jail or prison. 60,000. 60,000 people. That is enough to fill up Yankee Stadium at capacity. 60,000 kids under 18 in jail or prison. It's almost impossible to comprehend. And then, of course, all of this, as far as I'm concerned, all of this and so much more is leading our kids to not do as well in school. I think technology also plays a role in that, but just to stick on the gangs and the drugs and the distractions that are out there for these kids, the social media, we are dropping like a rock in a pond when it comes to scholastics. The United States ranks 38 out of 71 countries in math. We're 24 out of 71 in science. We are middle of the road mediocre. How did this happen? America is supposed to be the greatest country in the world. These kids, they are our future. They're the future of this country. And we're feeding them down with the drugs, and we're feeding them down with the social media, and we're feeding them down with the bad academics. Where are we putting all of our energy? Something here is going wrong. Something is fundamentally wrong, and I'll tell you what it is. We don't have enough heroes in this country stepping up. We don't have enough people who are looking to be leaders for these children. I truly believe there are a ton of heroes out there. They're not getting enough media attention. Maybe if they got a little bit more media attention, they'd be more inspired also to be a hero. I know that sounds terrible. I know that sounds terrible. But these are the times we're in. And I just can't understand why it is that we don't have the cameras pointing at more of the heroes that are out there. I'm proud to say I'm about to show you a hero. I'm about to take you to the state of Kentucky, where something amazing is taking place. It's happening inside a horse barn, and it all stems back to a wonderful woman named Jonah.
Yeah, this is perfect.
This right here?
Yeah, this is great.
You don't get it.
Oh.
So our first game I'm gonna start with is it's called the friendly game. So horses are like prey animals, so they get really scared of anything that kind of comes at them. So like when I'm like doing things with the carrot stick, this is kind of an extension of my arm. So when we do things with these, they kind of get scared because sometimes we have to use them a little more harsh if they're not listening. So we don't beat them, but like we use it a little more harsher. So what we do is we first just start off just by rubbing them and it's like desensitizing them, just letting them know that we're not going to hurt them. And you do this two sides of the horse. You do it on this side and the left side. So then after that, you want to just kind of throw it over them. Because in some games you show them, you're going to be throwing it. And then you go to the other side.
I have been working with troubled youth for 4 to 5 years. Started working with kids that were sent to the court system, which first they get on the diversion program, and then if they don't do what they're supposed to, then they go into the juvenile justice system. People are labeling these kids. They don't look at them as a good individual, as someone that just made a bad choice. They're labeled. They're labeled in school, they're labeled in the courts, they're labeled in the community. And I said, I want to stop labeling these kids and say, you know what, you made a mistake, but a true hero is someone that learns from their mistakes. And I know we have 40 horses here, and I know every one of them. I know their likes and dislikes, and I know how horses can make a difference. People grow up afraid of horses, but once you go into that world of the horse, then you'll understand that they are the most beautiful, best, kind friend that you could ever have. And they would do anything for you, but you have to give your heart to them, and they will give you your heart back. And I said, well, what if I did that with kids? So I thought, you know, it'd be really great to have these kids that lack a lot of things that they need to have life skills when they get older. So I started with them between 12 and 17 because these are the ages that they can relate with these horses. Horses and adolescents have a lot in common. And if anybody could get into the world of the horse and know how that horse thinks, they know that they have the same love and compassion, they have the same high-spiritedness, they want independence, they want freedom, they want a lot of things that adolescents are starting to want to develop in their life. The only thing with troubled teens, and I'm talking, when I say troubled teens, I'm talking about teens that need good leadership, good role models, that have tried marijuana, that have tried drugs, that are truant, that don't understand what the word consequences are. So they come here and we teach them. We don't tell them that they need to be better. We don't tell them that they need to do right and wrong. We have them do it through experiential learning. So when I tell a child, you need to be more confident How do you tell a child to be more confident? Well, you've got a 1,200-pound horse running on top of you. How do you get that horse out of your space? How do you get it to not bully you and push you around?
All right, so with this right here, you see that right there? It's called the chestnut. And what this does is it just kind of lets them know to pick their foot up. So what you do is you pinch it, and it doesn't hurt them at all. And if they don't give you their foot, you want to lean in with pressure, and they'll lift it up. So you always want to start your way on the outside, and you want to face it downward.
So through experience, we teach them how to get things done through love, understanding, communication. You don't have to use force, fear, intimidation to get what you want out of life. It's all through this love and body language and freedom that you want.
So then our next one is called the roundup. And what we do in this is we kind of just get them, their mind thinking, and kind of telling them that we're their owner and that we're going to be training, and they need to pay attention to that.
So when people come here and they're with the horses, they learn how to be a good leader. How can you lead this horse into safety? Are you good for your word? Do you mean what you say? Do you just care about yourself? These horses know that. When a child says, I'm not angry, or I have anxiety, or I'm suicidal, or I'm a cutter, these horses will mirror those personalities. You know, I had a child that tried to commit suicide. I said, get on this horse and go out and ride. And he said, no, it might kill me. And I said, really? I said, you just tried to commit suicide and you don't want to ride a horse. And he said, well, I really don't want to die. So we teach these children that even though they might want to do something to harm them, that being on a horse, you need to know and understand what you're doing and how to do it and to be safe in the world. That's what natural horsemanship, and that's what we teach here. And that is what makes a difference in the world of an adolescence.
Now the key right now is I want him to follow me wherever I go, no matter where I go. If I lose attention now, I have to restart.
Jersey is 15 years old. She came to me when she was 10. She was in a dysfunctional family. She didn't know when you said kill them with kindness or love your neighbor or anything that had to do with being good. She didn't know that. All she knew was being in a gang. She spent all her time in jail, in handcuffs more than she was in school. And so she came here, started working with her for about 3 years. She listened, was up here every day. She got out of her dysfunctional home. It was very abusive. She lives with her grandmother, honor student in school. So she did a whole shift in her life from living one way to completely living a different life.
When you're in the news business, when you make films about reality like I do, and you travel as far as I travel, you see a lot of things that you wish you could unsee, but you can't. You see the gangs. You see the kids doing the drugs. You see all these things. They're sticking needles in their arms. You see the hypodermics. You see the kids laying on the side of the road. You know, at any given time, you could watch a cop administering a DUI test or, helping a kid who's sitting there, overdosed. I've seen it all. I look at Jersey. I look at this young girl. She's got so much life. She's got so much to offer. She's so cute. She's just cute. I mean, I'm there. We're filming this. I'm with my daughter, who is 5 years older than Jersey. But I mean, they're interacting like sisters. I could never imagine my daughter being in a gang, or using drugs on that level, or being arrested, being in a jail cell. It's hard to fathom that was Jersey. It's If I were to introduce you to Jersey, you would never ever guess that that's the world she came from. It was also impossible for me to ignore the phone hanging out of the back pocket of Jersey. While we were there, she never referred to it once. But I wonder how much this technology boom, if you will, provides these kids with bad situations that they otherwise would not find themselves in. You've got to ask yourself, if the news wasn't so determined to feed you negativity all day long. Remember, these kids are getting that on their phone all day long. Social media is filled with negativity. Imagine what would happen, maybe, just maybe, if the news feeds were coming in with good news, with positive stories, highlighting heroes. Would it be a different world? Would we be in a different situation here in America if we were feeding positive information on a daily nanosecond basis instead of feeding the nonstop negativity? The negativity is all these kids know.
I love it, Dennis, that you asked that because, I've watched the news and it has always been about disaster and catastrophe and bad things. It is always about that and about deaths and murders and robberies. And I thought, why don't they add some good things? I feel like if someone does not contribute to the world to make it better, then they should not be publicized. We are consumed with the phone. Communication, connection with family is good, but when you live and breathe it, and the first thing you do is wake up and look at it, and the last thing you do is go to bed and read it, and you keep it and you hold on to that phone more than you hold on to your child's hand. How many times do you look at your phone versus do you look at someone you love's eyes? You need to look at people face to face and look at their eyes and give them a smile and acknowledge they're there. The phone is taking place of that, but it's our fault, not the phone's fault.
I have to tell you that in doing America the Beautiful, I got to meet some fantastic people. I got to meet real heroes. I got to meet people who are doing something spectacular, people who are going out of their way to really make the best America can be. This time for me at Deer Run Stables was my favorite. And the reason being is because I see a life that was saved, because there was a hero who was willing to step up, not to enrich herself, not to become famous. In fact, we seeked her out to do this episode. There needs to be more of that. There needs to be more support of that.
America the Beautiful is the best phrase that I could ever imagine saying. And here we live it every single day. Because I want people to see if they could be more like the horses in the horse world, because they take care of each other. If 6 horses are sleeping, one of them's watching out for the herd. There's always a horse that's saying, come on, follow me, let's be safe. They love and care for each other. They don't care where they are on the pecking order. They just want to be in a group, in a community, in a family. And they have their separations, anxieties, just like people do. And America the Beautiful is truly a great concept because people, and teens especially, they don't even come outside anymore. They don't come out and see the birds or the trees or nature in general. We have turkeys and deers and coyotes and bobcats and just to watch them and get into why they act and do the things they do. So it's America the Beautiful is get your children outside and be with the beautiful nature that's been given to us.
That is America the Beautiful. Leveraging the beauty that you have inside with the beauty that is outside and bringing it together as one to help somebody else enrich their life. That's what's happening. America the Beautiful right there in Kentucky. Jonah is a beacon of positive energy, always looking at the bright side. And that sort of energy, that sort of behavior, that sort of outlook has seeped into Jersey. I'll tell you a little story that took place in which I support what I just said. The weather was so inclement when we were in Kentucky, and we had this little break in the action where the thunder and lightning had gone away and the rain had stopped. And we were trying to get some shots outside. We wanted to get the horses running. So Jonah and Jersey released the horses into the outdoors. But we put the drone up, and the drone was driving the horses somewhat crazy. And then the thunder started again. So they wanted to get the horses back inside. And the situation got nuts. The horses went all over the place. And now Jonah and Jersey both had to round up all the horses before the weather broke.
Alright, so right now, you can go and follow me.
Okay.
Where are y'all going? So you're gonna follow me.
Okay. Ooh.
I have to run a little bit.
Oh.
This is a workout.
Oh, this is such a workout. Oh.
So right when I get these horses over here.
Okay. It's all uphill too. Oh, they take massive poops.
They really do.
Wow.
They all like to trick you, so like they go back and forth.
Yeah.
Come on, Harley.
I'll just.
What I'm gonna do actually is I'm gonna get them kind of like herded, and then once we get up there, I'm gonna get them running.
This went on for nearly a half hour to 40 minutes.
I was gonna say, where are they going?
It's hard to herd a bunch of horses because you have to have two people blocking them off,
Okay.
and that's how you call them in.
Oh.
Paulo, get in there. Paulo. Go on.
Despite how stressful it was, they always kept a positive outlook and never once did they lose their cool. And I've been around a long enough time to know that you can't fake that sort of thing. And because Jersey sees that in Jonah, that is going to help shape who Jersey is throughout her life. When situations get bad, she will know how to handle them both safely and with a cool hand. You can't put a dollar amount on that, the value that comes with that sort of lesson. That is priceless. Hey. Eventually they did round up all the horses, and they allowed us to go for a ride.
So I moved from Texas. I lived in Texas most of my life, and I was a big Davy Crockett fan with the Alamo because it was right literally in my backyard. But when I moved here, I always loved Daniel Boone. Daniel Boone is from this area specifically, is the property that we bought, and Daniel Boone walked this land. His ancestors, people that knew him, walked it. There's a log cabin here that is dated back to Daniel Boone. There's a cemetery dated back to the time that Daniel Boone was here. So it's really interesting to know that you are riding horses just like they did. You know, I have a decree that was written in 1786, and the people that lived here wrote that they didn't care what happened to the property, but they wanted it to be used for good. They didn't want it to be used for housing. And so I walked by the gravesite and I'm like, it's still the same. We're doing good. We're helping people. So it was written that that's what they wanted. And so it means a lot to us to keep it as a place where there's healing and love.
I want to go back to the drug problem for a moment, because I really do believe that the drugs in this country, drugs and alcohol use by our teens, is part of our own demise if we don't fix it soon. We have to do something more than what we're doing. When I see something like Deer Run Stables, and I see what Jonah is trying to do as a single woman out there trying to help one kid at a time, I say we've got to do this on a greater level. We have to do things like this on a greater level. Every single year, the United States of America is spending on or about $1 billion to solve the drug problem. And we get nowhere. What we get is this. We get a showering of stories that are heartbreaking, where people are overdosing and collapsing in the middle of the street. We've seen them. We've seen these things. We've seen them on the news. We've seen where the mother is shopping in front of her little kid and she falls down because she's on opioids. We've seen where the young kids, the young middle schoolers are literally hanging on for dear life. This imagery is just heart-wrenching. It's heartbreaking. How did it get like this? We're putting in $1 billion a year. We're getting nowhere. Last year, the president gave $50 million to all the states. 50 states in the United States received $50 million. And it was designed so this way each state can help fight the gang epidemic. I told you, over 1 million juvenile gang members. We gave $50 million. That sounds like a lot, but it's minuscule. $50 million. In the same year, the United States of America gave over $10 billion to help Central America and Mexico clean up their gang problem, to clean up their country. We're giving $10 billion to Central America and Mexico to help them fight the problems they've got with the drugs and with the gangs. And we're giving our own states $50 million? Who are we kidding? There's more to this Deer Run stable than just training horses. There's more than just doing hard work and cleaning up the stables and moving the hay around like Jersey does. There's history there. It is just simply astonishing how much somebody can get from this place in a matter of hours like we did.
This cabin was dated back to the 18th century. Daniel Boone and his settlers lived here on this property. When the Indians came and invaded their cabin right here, they went and built the fort at Fort Boonesboro. So this is very historical with a lot of settlers and Daniel Boone on this property.
Every state in the United States has some sort of state-funded programming for prevention and treatment of drugs. I was heartbroken to learn that Jonah went to go seek funding for what she was doing there to expand her program, and she was denied because the state would not recognize her sort of therapy. Imagine the money that's getting wasted on programs that are meaningless. And she couldn't get the money from her own state doing what she's doing.
So it's $150 per kid for 8 weeks.
Yes.
So that comes out to 8 times 150? No, it's 150 for one kid for all of 8 weeks?
Yes.
So for $150
For 8 weeks.
for 8 weeks. All right, well, I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna give you a check for $1,200. So I got the first 8 kids, and we'll put that up there, and we'll see if people follow.
Yes.
All right, cool?
And I will show you every child that you helped.
Beautiful. All right, we're good to go. Let's go.
Awesome.
If I were the president, if I were a state legislator, if I were a member of Congress, if I were a rich man, these are the sort of places. Deer Run Staples is where I would be applying money because it purely works. You see it. Just look at that young girl and that life changed and saved because of that woman. She is a hero. Speaking of heroes, the way we were able to give her that small piece of funding is because a portion of everything we do, everything we sell, our programming, America the Beautiful, is funded by the tens of thousands of people who watch us each week, who listen to this podcast. I talked about how it is that going around the country was amazing and how Deer Run Staples was my favorite. But make no mistake, equally as rewarding was being able to meet each and every single one of the heroes who are part of Team DML.
Oh, okay, one.
Hey, DML here. We're on Nashville, right? Nashville. Name one more time.
Diane.
This is Diane. We're gonna pass around to everybody. Everybody's gonna say hello, Team DML, and then I don't know, we'll do something else. Eat and drink. Yep. All right. Start. Tell them about yourself and go. All right. Who else we taking pictures with?
Diane Forward. That's all I got to say right now.
Hey, this is Pam from Bumpus Mills, Tennessee. We're here at the Hermitage in Nashville, having a great time. Welcome, Team DML.
And I can't say to you in words how much these people mean to me and how much they mean in making America the beautiful place that it is and that it can be.